Welcome to the podcast. This is Monkey See, Monkey Do, joined by the Do. Maddie, say hey.
Hey, what's going
on? So I guess this is a new podcast. It's three of us, myself, Matt Doohan, and Charles Giltrow, behind the camera over here. I guess the last podcast I done that we had the pleasure of recording was, I kind of felt like I took it as far as like I could with what it was, and I wanted to just have a bit more of a yarn, a bit more of a relaxed kind of talk. So, how you been, man?
Good. It's cruising.
I think we recorded like 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago, I think?
Was it that long ago? It probably was too.
Yeah, where we got overly drunk, talked some shit, and I don't remember the ending of the podcast.
That doesn't sound like us.
Well, it does, because we also tried to record the first episode recently of this podcast and again proceeded to drink way too much and share probably way too much.
We drank way too much.
So we
said way too much.
So we have some lovely sparkling water with us today. So it's going to be a sober one. Matt, what you been doing, man? What are you doing for work? What's been going on?
I started working away since we last spoke. So I think, last time we spoke, I was working in the coffee shop, making coffee, and you ended up coming across and working with me. That was wild times. I think
Yep.
People just thought we communicated in movie quotes, which was a laugh.
Which we do.
Which we still do.
And song.
It's just no originality whatsoever.
Everything we say is just copywritten. So FIFO. Anyone, I guess, in the UK, I didn't know what that was. So I'm just going to say, like, if there is, it's fly in, fly out. So you fly into a mine. You're pretty good at explaining it anyway.
Yeah. So typically I'm working in the Eastern Pilbara. So it's kind of a hot, arid area out in the desert. 1,200 k's north of home, and I fly out to work on a plane and stay out there for a couple of weeks, and come home and have 2 weeks holiday every month.
Every month, yeah. So I've changed as well. Again, we met, like, we did the coffee shop, worked that together, and then while I was doing that, studied, and now do like youth work. So I guess it's kind of, I suppose it would be foster care, but I go to like a government house. I do drive-in, so I go there for 3 days and then come home for 3 days which is pretty sweet. Like, it's nice. Like, you're away for 3 days, but come back 3 days, chill, relaxed. But it's probably better off that I'm not home for 2 weeks, because I would just,
You'd what?
I'd probably just not go to the gym. Probably like drink for 2 weeks, be lazy, play video games. I think going to work reignites the motivation, and I come home and then try and be productive when I get home.
I think we talked about this earlier. Like, before I started working away, we were getting to the gym pretty often, like lining up sessions, and maybe we go like a few times a week. Whereas now it's like I go to work and I go to the gym every night. And then I come home, and those 2 weeks, it's like I don't go to the gym at all. It's all just like catch-ups with people. It's just, there's too many liquid lunches.
Burgers. Well, this marks the second consecutive week that I've been to the gym this entire year. So I did 3 sessions last week, which is the first for this year. And then I've gone again today, which is only 1 session this week, but still 2 weeks in a row.
I think this morning's session in the local gym was the first time I've been back in there. Probably about 6 months or more.
Still paying though, obviously.
Still paying.
Yeah, so is
it. Yep.
It happens all, like, well, actually saying that, it never used to happen. I was pretty committed to the gym. I'd go get my money's worth. And this year I've just gone, I can't be fucked half the time, man. It's like, there's just a real laziness about my attitude towards it. So I'm trying to reset my own goals a little bit and get back in there and be a bit more motivated. So I'm glad that you're getting back into it too, because I just, if I don't go, if I go by myself now, halfway through I'll be like, I'm bored. There's so many other things I'd rather be doing. But at least if you're there, I can talk some shit and get through.
I find if I can get in there, it's like I'll be in there for like a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Like once I get started, I'm good. But my big thing is if there's waves, I want to save myself. It's like, oh, there's waves like tomorrow, or there's waves the day after. It's like, I'll just hold off the gym so I'm all fresh for paddling and make the most of that. And then 2 days later, the waves are crap and you've just like missed 2 days. You could have gone to the gym anyway.
You might have to get that mic a little bit close, like a bit further over into your face. Mic check, 1, 2. So I guess with both work changing, that kind of thing, I know Chiz asked a really good question when we were recording.
You're going to have to tell everyone who Chiz is.
Chiz is Charles Giltrow, the man behind the cameras today, founder of both Fractured and Waxheads, the man with a plan.
You called him Charles. You called him Charles earlier. I'm like, I forget that's what his mum calls him.
Yeah. Mr. Charles Giltrow. It's how I introduced him to the last podcast, and now all I want to do is, every time I see him, is just call him Charles Giltrow. Chizzy. Chiz.
Chiz.
The Chizmeister 3000. So he asked a really good question before, which I really want to ask again, is the best and hardest part about being a parent, as you have 4 boys?
You got 4 boys? Yeah. Oh, hardest part?
Hardest part?
I think just worrying about whether you're doing it right. Like worrying that you're doing something that's going to mess them up later in life, or I don't know, just
being imperfect in like a perfect world kind of thing.
Yeah, look, I think I had this discussion with my brother the other day, and we're talking about teaching resilience and showing your kids that it's okay not to be perfect. Like, they don't have to see your perfect side all the time.
Yeah.
They can then, like, you can show them that it's okay to make mistakes, that adults make mistakes, might not be perfect.
I think nearly everybody in the world like needs that lesson. Not just like teaching your kids. I feel like with everything on display, always the internet's always there. It's all you're seeing is people being perfect and people having glamorous lifestyles when we're getting this fake image of what life is, and imperfection is the best stories.
Yeah. Look, I'm pretty open with my kids. Like, always have been. Like, I've always one of those open discussions, and to be approachable, we could talk about things, and like that's. I had the same thing with my dad. Like, we could sit and talk about anything, and
yeah. Mine was. I'm a mummy's boy, so mine was mum. Dad worked like heaps. He worked like Monday to Friday, and then at the weekend he was at the army, so. He was always working to make sure that we had what we had growing up. So yeah, mum was the confidant. So I think mum knows pretty much everything, or anything I needed to ask was always available. So yeah, I guess some people don't have that though. Hey, they don't have like that kind of relationship where it's like you can't talk about those things.
100%. Like, yeah, I think I've met had a lot of very deep conversations with people that their parents were probably a little bit strict or not very open about things, and it had sort of come out later in their life that they had hang-ups or things that they were sort of struggling with because they were raised in a certain way.
Yeah. I think I had this conversation with my buddy Alex yesterday, and we were saying that like about money and financial education. We're like, well, we're growing up, you never spoke about your money. You're like, well, I didn't anyway. And you get like financial education, what to do with money, and talking about money was always taboo.
Yeah.
So definitely something that I try and do now, and speak to like people, like my friends about it, and quite open about it. Like, can we help each other? What didn't we learn? Like, what should we have been doing 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had that conversation yesterday with Alex. Took him out for his first surf yesterday as well, which is good.
Was that his first surf?
I think maybe when he was a kid and bodyboarding, but as an adult, that's his first time he's ever been out. So yeah, that's why I was just adamant I wanted to get him on a wave.
Yeah. Did it happen? Did he end up getting a wave?
Nah. He went for a few. He was committed. He just couldn't get a wave. But we'll take him out again, and we'll just get him like a foamy or something. So and just push him.
We'll push him in.
Yeah, 100%. I think that was the only problem. Like he'd get like in the right position, but I think as soon as it come to just taking that drop, it was just nah.
He was nose diving.
Yeah. I mean,
Yesterday was a fun day.
It was great.
It was surprisingly fun. It was a beautiful day, actually. It was just sunny day. Waves were a little bit inconsistent, but like it was a fun day. And we just timed it perfectly where you guys rocked up.
Yep.
I rocked up at the same time. A couple of our other friends rocked up. It was just the five of us in the water.
Crew. Yeah.
Taking turns. Like the girls didn't want any of the sets.
Yeah.
We kind of like...
Which is cool.
Alex didn't want any of the sets.
Yep.
So we were taking turns.
And then we continued on afterwards as well. Had another surf spot too. And got to take out the new board, which I've been like really nervous about. But went well, caught waves, feel confident, ready to go again.
Yep. Killed our shoulders for today.
Yep. And then went to the gym today. There's something we were talking about. Like, I guess with surfing, I only started learning about 3.5 years ago. And when you start learning, it sucks. Like, you just eat an incredible amount of shit. You fall off, you get nailed. And that's something we were talking about before. It's almost like type 2 fun. You ever heard about type 2 fun?
Not until recently.
Yeah. So type 2 fun is where at the time it sucks, or like it might be funny for other people, but at the time it's you're like, what the fuck, man, this is awful. But when you look back on it, you're like, you know what, that's pretty funny, man. Like looking back and looking objectively, it's pretty funny. So have you got any type 2 stories, type 2 fun, where it's like awful, but you look back now, you go, that's hilarious?
Yeah, we tried to discuss this earlier.
Yep.
And you're like, you need to tell that story.
100%. This is why a nice segue into it. Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm going to put it out there. Year 11 outdoor ed camp to walking from Northcliffe to Windy Harbour. And our teacher, he was a bit adventurous and decided that rather than take the defined tracks, we were going to trailblaze our own way on a compass heading. And there'd been a fair bit of rain, and he ended up walking us through a marsh. We went straight through a marsh, and for 2 hours we were walking through these sharp reeds, getting cut up. It was like knee deep in water. We did that for 2 hours, just blazing our own trail through these reeds. And this place is notorious for tiger snakes as well.
Fucking hell. Do you get like leashes and stuff here?
Yeah, you get leeches. Yeah. I haven't come across them in years. Like, I'm sure we used to get them when we were kids, but you do get them.
Yeah.
But no, I don't remember any leeches, but for 2.5 hours, we just blazed our own trail. And eventually he went, it's like, oh, look, this isn't working. I think it only took us half an hour to get back out of it. 2.5 hours in, half an hour back out.
Buddy.
Walked around a different way. Eventually hit the coast. And it was freezing. There was super strong southerly. It was cold. The river, we had to cross a river and it was flooded. The plan was we had a couple of inflatable rafts. We had like another team on the other side of the river with a 4-wheel drive. And they're going to send the 2 strongest swimmers across the river with a rope attached to this raft, and then use the raft to ferry our gear and students back and forth. Yeah. So 2 strongest swimmers cross the river, middle of winter, all the brown water flowing out of it.
That's gross.
Immediately, they're just like hypothermic. So they've got them wrapped up on the other side, but they've got the rope across.
Yeah.
So they put the first load of bags in this raft, go to bring it across. And I think the story was that like they hadn't tied the knots properly or something like that. The knots had come undone. They either lost the raft or they couldn't get it back over.
With all the bags and everything on there as well?
That was half our gear, so it was like half the food, all the tents. Like, not all the tents, it was half the tents. And that was that. So we just suddenly lost half our gear. And the call was made we weren't crossing the river. So students are starting to get hypothermic on the beach. So the teacher's gone, all right, put your tents up. We're going to camp here for the night. People start putting tents up and stuff starts blowing off into this heavy thicket behind the beach. So we lose more tents. So that night, we had a 2-man tent. We had 6 people in it. got zero sleep because it was so cold that like you were just bunched up, cramping up. Everyone's miserable. No sleep. We decided we're walking back out. We were meant to be home that night. It was my birthday because I was meant to be home for my birthday dinner with my dad. And we ended up trudging through the bush once again on another compass heading.
On another adventure.
And with no sleep, I was just in a daze. Eventually, the teacher admits we're lost and sets off an EPIRB.
And what's that? Like a flare?
So an emergency positioning beacon. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it literally sends a signal to a central monitoring sort of place in Canberra.
Yeah.
Who then start coordinating emergency services to get them where the beacon's coming from.
Yeah.
And yeah, so eventually we got rescued by, they must have been rangers from Windy Harbour or something like that, but we all just remember getting piled into four-wheel drives, and the one that we got piled into smelled like they kept dead animals in it. It was there was kind of like a Deliverance vibe going on. But yeah, we got home a day late. It turns out they told all our parents that the bus had got a flat tire, and that's why we were late. We all got McDonald's on the way home.
Yeah, it's like, guys, this is the story. Here's some McDonald's. If anyone asks what happened,
go easy. Yeah. But yeah, like it was a pretty horrible camp. Like being on it, like it's just miserable.
That was gnarly.
But yeah, in hindsight, we all remember it.
Yeah.
It's like we haven't forgotten it.
Yeah, type 2. It's hilarious now.
That teacher went to the Himalayas like 2 months later. He was like, I'm training for the Himalayas. And we're all just like, that dude's going to die. He makes dumb decisions. I won't mention his name. We all remember it.
Yeah. The last type 2 fun I had was for my 30th. And we went to, is it Quabba?
Yeah, Quabba, like blowholes?
Yeah, Quabba blowholes. And so we were staying there and we were putting up the tent, and it started just absolutely coming down. I mean, hail, wind, rain. You're right on the coast there, so you're just getting blasted by the elements. And I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't like a very good. I don't think we were in a good mood to begin with, and then it just starts hammering it down. There's a hole in the tent anyway, because we've been on the road for a little bit. And so we set it up. We basically set it up so we could put all of the stuff that was in our car in the tent. And then I set up the back of the car to be able to stay in. Now, like, I don't have like a large car. Like, that's a small area to sleep in. So we had to put the tray down and our feet stuck out the edge for the entire night.
Rookie move.
Mate. But anyway, we get the back set up. I put like ropes up so we could put towels as curtains so that you can't see in. The dinner that night was, I think we had cold beans and bread and butter to dip in. Like, and we watched, there was enough signal to like stream a Disney movie, and we're like, it'll be all right. Like, we'll just do one night. But yeah, of course, left the thing open, woke up in the middle of the night, freezing cold. Everything's wet on like our feet base. And we take that, like, you know, that day's done. We're like, we'll let this go. We carry on heading up to Exmouth, and like we still have the same tent. Like it's a trip. We had like a 2-week trip, and so during the night storm, we left the tent out with all our stuff in, and it's got smashed. Like the structure for it is broken. It's crap. But we get to Exmouth and it's a lovely day. It's warm. We're like, the tent will be fine. It doesn't matter. Like, it's warm here. We don't have to worry. And so we set it up. And then sure enough, by about 9 o'clock, like the wind starts coming up. And we're like, oh, it'll be okay. During that night, the wind howled all night. And you were tasting the red dirt. Like, you had gritty mouth. Like, and I getting so pissed off.
It's like working on the mines.
And I was getting so annoyed because this broken structure part was just doing this in the wind. So
what was it doing? Yeah.
It
was flapping. It was flapping in the wind.
We have... Oh, I guess people might not... Jason's hand is moving vigorously in front of his face. Waving my hand. And so I said to Caitlin, I'm sleeping in the car. Are you joining me? She's like, no, I'm comfy. It's fine. And I can't do it. So I just sleep in the car. I fall asleep on the front seat, like just most uncomfortable night's sleep ever. Open the tent the next day, and obviously there's more holes in it from the storm, and everything is covered in a thick layer of red dirt. Like, it's done. And from that point on, we could, like, I don't know why we just didn't fork out to buy a new tent, but we chose not to. We'd forgotten our pillows as well.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
That's like the most, like, for me, if I forget a pillow,
Yep.
I'm uncomfortable for the rest of the trip.
Yep. So
Towels don't do it.
So we
Brought
slept
up
in the back
coats.
of that ute for the remainder week rather than just purchase a new tent. And during that, because we were so uncomfortable, it was getting cold at night, like all the back and everything is stiff. Caitlin asked for help up one morning, and I helped her up. And sure enough, like her rotator cuff, like part of her rotator cuff had torn, which is still causing her issues to this day. It's my fault, essentially. And we left, I think, 3 days early from this trip. And it was like, I'm not being miserable anymore. I choose not to. Like, I'm going home.
I bet she's not laughing about her rotator cuff now, is she?
Oh, absolutely not. No, but still, you look back on the trip, you're like, we had fun moments. We made do. We had an adventure. Like, so yeah. So it was stressful as fuck, like, doing it. But I just look back now, apart from the rotator cuff, obviously. But it was pretty funny. But I guess, that's adventure, I suppose. Any bizarre adventure stories apart from your camping one?
Bizarre adventure stories?
Wait,
none I'm going to share here.
Oh, yeah, all right. Don't you have like a near-death story, though?
Near-death stories?
Yeah.
Plenty. Too many. I feel I was accident prone when I was younger. Went face first through a windshield on my school bus. That messed me up. I was meant to die. I should have died.
I didn't know. This is new to me.
Have I not told you about this?
No, this is new to me.
As usual, running late.
15, and for anyone that doesn't know, Matt is late always.
It's my creative side. 15 years old, running for my school bus. I only just managed to get on it. And these school buses are always so overcrowded. And I jump on, standing in the footwell of this bus. I think it travelled less than a kilometre before it crashed into the back of another bus. And the part of the bus I was standing in copped the brunt of it and like ceased to exist pretty much. So a bunch of students ended up with like broken noses and little things like that. The wing mirror from the bus that I was on ended up halfway down the aisle of the bus in front.
Oh, so it's like completely like concaved in.
Yeah, concertinaed it in. So I went sailing through the windshield.
Oh shit!
Face first. Apparently, I've thrown up one hand because like one side of my face was just cut to shreds. The other side was okay. And apparently, what stopped me from going under the wheels and being crushed, according to the attending police, was I've obviously hit the bus in front of us so hard with my head, which probably explains a lot. That I bounced back through the windshield into the bus.
Jesus, like ragdolled. Jesus.
Yeah, we hit it fairly hard. I ended up with like a broken jaw. I think it's one of my first broken noses. Like my face was shredded. I had like bits of glass in there. For 6 months afterwards, I'd smile 6 months afterwards after getting stitched up.
Yeah.
And there'd be crunching in my face.
Oh man.
And I'd end up going back and getting x-rayed, and there was just like granules of glass just grinding against each other in my face.
Do you just have to like bear that from then, or was it like a surgery?
No, so I went back and had more surgery. They pulled a massive shard of glass out of my nose. Like it was like a long shard that was just straight down my nose. But funny story. So remember hitting it, and like I've sort of regained consciousness, and there was these two young girls in the seat behind me, and they looked at me and their faces just dropped and they became like instantly distraught.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, it was like, no, it's okay. We're all okay.
And they're like,
and then there was
this
sheet of red blood, just like a waterfall, just like suddenly like started in front of my eyes.
The way I imagine it is like the James Bond, like,
it was
the
like
blood.
that.
Yeah.
It was like more waterfally. It was like It was worse than that.
God.
So I immediately passed out. And the next thing I woke up and there was no one left on the bus. And there was like people yelling at the window at me, you have to get off the bus. There's I guess there was petrol or something. They were worried I was going to catch fire.
Jesus.
I'd been abandoned.
Every man for themselves.
And I ended up just doing like the full zombie walk down the aisle, just like dragging myself like down the back, out the back, emergency exit in the back window. Passed out again. Like
naturally. Woke
up, propped up against a pole. And I remember some bogan dude like running out of his house with his like favorite AC/DC shirt. I seem to remember it smelling. I think it's like he's just like grabbed the t-shirt. It's like, put it on, like put pressure on your head. I'm like, take my shirt off, man. Like use my shirt. I just didn't want this guy's filthy Akadaka shirt on my face. And anyway, so the bus route was the same route that my mum took to work.
Oh, jeez.
And she's rocked up like 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Seen the school buses and gone, oh shit. And jumped out of her car to help. But she's kind of looking for me. And she comes across this kid up against the pole and sort of like said, oh, look, are you all right? Like seeing the worst injured there, but like still looking for me.
Yeah.
Not realizing it was me.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I've just gone, yeah, I'm all right, Mum. And she just dropped like a sack of shit.
Yeah, man.
Like passed out next to me pretty much.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But yeah, just got amboed into Perth and.
Yeah, this is complete. I've never heard this story.
Yeah, I think I ended up with like 32 stitches. Something like that. Like,
you like no scarring whatsoever though.
There is.
Oh.
So like, because my skull was exposed through my eyebrow. So I've got like there's a gap there. Like everyone used to think I just shaved the gangster, the gangster
cool,
stripe in my eyebrow. It's like, so there's a scar going through there. And then if I do like certain things in my face, like my lips were shredded through and that big chunk out of my chin and
holy crap.
And full of glass as well.
One of my closest friends, I think he was like 10 years old. He went through the windscreen, and him and his mum had just moved from South Africa. And I don't think he was wearing, and I'm probably butchering the story, but I don't think he was wearing a seatbelt. But he ended up going through the windscreen as well. And he, like, you're incredibly lucky because he has a scar from his almost his ear to the corner of his mouth.
Yeah.
I can only imagine like what kind of fucking open face like happened there, but
Joker grin.
Yeah, well, you know, he actually finds a sense of humor out of it. So for Halloween he goes as the Joker and just does it on the other side.
Yeah.
So fuck, man, and he's pretty like he's completely comfortable with it. Like he makes joke about it himself. Like I remember someone asked him a question like, "Why are you so grumpy all the time?" And all he did is just points to his scar on his face. He's a good lad, man. Yeah, Danny, his name is. But yeah, for Halloween, like we go out dressed up. He just put like the cosmetic scar on the other side, like and going for it. I think I've only ever had one near-death experience, and that was surfing in Bali after drinking with the previously mentioned friend Danny. Had a lot to drink that night. They stayed in bed. Caitlin and I went for a surf, and I was like, "Oh, it'll be fine. Like the water will sort me out, like it always does." But ended up paddling out, catching a wave, falling off, and my left foot had got caught around like a reed. And I'm hungover. I didn't take a breath.
Where were you surfing?
But I don't know. Canggu.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was like a reed. I don't know. My foot got tangled.
Yeah.
And all I'm trying to do is like this struggle to the top. Like I'm panicking. Like and the water's only like a foot above me. Like I can see like the shimmery sky and stuff. And it was like I honestly thought like, yeah, this is it. Like I'm not gonna be able to like this is it. I'm just gonna be here and it's not very deep. No one's gonna see it. But I ended up just like thinking for a second, I need to get my foot loose. So I just dive, like come back down, yank whatever was on my foot and come to the top. And I immediately come up and like for all the panic and hungover and everything else, and I just spew my guts like there and then, like as I'm like, and I'm like, nah. I just kind of like slowly one hand like paddle to the beach, just lay down on the sand.
Welcome to surfing.
Yeah. And like I just wait there. I think I wait there for like 30, 40 minutes, like hangover in full effect, like thinking I'd nearly like just died, waiting for Caitlin to come back in. And all I can think of, what if the same thing's happened to her? So I'm like scanning the beach, like what's going on? She comes up like, oh, that was lovely, you know. I was like, it wasn't. No, we're going back to the room. Yeah.
I had a friend like come so close to drowning out at Margaret River. Like we're 17 years old, and we were looking at Surfers Point. So Surfers Point's massive swell magnet in Margaret River. We're still both pretty young, pretty inexperienced, and it was like 10 foot, maybe 12 foot, onshore, nasty looking. Like it looked better in the morning, and then we'd gone back down and decided we're still going out. We obviously had the forefoot where we'd gone, all right, if one of us gets in trouble, we just keep an eye on each other. If we get in trouble, wave to the other one, and we'll help each other out. And we've paddled out. We've nearly gotten out the back, and a big set comes through, closes out right on top of us. Probably one of the longest hold downs I've had in surfing. I just got dragged almost all the way in. Like I'd spent a lot of time underwater. Yeah. And
how long do you reckon? How long do you reckon you're under? Yeah, I had to guess.
Dude, I was 17. It felt like forever.
Yeah.
Like it probably wasn't even that bad, but I covered a lot of ground underwater. And you just kind of relax.
Yeah.
And I come up, and my mate's still way out the back where we copped it on the head. Like he obviously didn't get dragged. And he's out there and he's like waving and throwing his arms in the air. And I thought he was claiming how bad I just got smashed. I'm just like, mate, I've just been smashed. And he's just like having a good old time giving me shit about it. And then I looked across. We were on bodyboards. And his bodyboard's sitting next to me, and it's like twisted. The leash plug had torn through his board.
Yeah.
So he's obviously like copped it hard. Yeah. And him waving wasn't him claiming like my wife, like me getting smashed. It was him in trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just turned into this race to get out the back. And I'm duck diving like 10 foot onshore waves to get to him. And he was struggling like by the time I got out there, he was just like non-communicative, like struggling to stay afloat. So I've got him on my board. We've started heading in, got some white water, and that was the last time he went surfing for about 15 years.
Like, that's awful.
We're on levers. Actually, it was our levers week, and I hope he won't mind me mentioning it. I don't think, but like he was. Like we just got halfway home and he just got really upset. Like it just sort of hit him. Yeah. And he broke down, and like he'd said he struggled with like getting into water for a while. Like the pool. That's like he was struggling with like in the shower. Like it would sort of bring him back to it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's terrifying, man. That's scary.
Yeah. So I think he came close. He came pretty close then.
My uncle has an outrageous amount of times that he's had near-death experiences. Like he had an accident while he was like parachuting out of a plane. Like so the parachute's supposed to open and like deploy in the number of seconds to gradually slow you down from free fall.
Yep.
And supposedly his opened in a fraction of a second. So he went from free falling speed to just being yanked up onto the parachute. And this is one of many of his near-death like stories. And so when he got to the bottom, like we saw him, I think 3 weeks after that, because we went to visit him in Canada. And the bruise was essentially the harness. 3 weeks after this, the harness was still there on him as a bruise.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so did
he pack his own chute? Did he pack his own chute, or was it?
I actually don't know. I don't know how all that works, but I suppose I've never asked him. But yeah, so we saw him 3 weeks after. He still has the bruises, like ribs are damaged, and the doctor was saying like he was quite a big guy at the time. Like I think he's 6'4". He was training in the gym at the time as well, and he was saying if you didn't have like the amount of muscle that you have, if you were thinner, wasn't exercising, like it just would have, just basically your spine would have just snapped and just from going down at that speed and coming straight back up.
Yeah, just a sudden deceleration.
Yeah, just and it was insane. Like I remember seeing it. Like it looked like he was wearing straps. Like, yeah, crazy.
You know, I was toying with getting into skydiving just recently. I did a tandem skydive when I was younger with my brother.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure the guy he was strapped up to at the time actually passed away like a couple of weeks later at the same airfield.
Oh, wow.
With someone, like with a
Holy crap.
Student, like someone, like a client.
Yeah.
But I was heading to a festival the other day, over Easter, so quite recently.
Yep.
And on the way out there, I went past, there's a skydiving club close by.
Yep.
And I kind of thought it was like, this is something I could do. Like I've often considered getting into it as a hobby and like get my certifications so I could actually solo skydive. I thought, all right, when I get back from this, I might look into that. I had friends do it. Festival was insanely good.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a weird festival. It's a blazing swan, like a burner type festival. So it's a complete freak show.
What do you mean burning swan?
Blazing Swan. So Blazing Swan, it's a bit like it's WA's version of Burning Man in the US, where they make a big wooden effigy and at the conclusion of the festival, they light it up. But it's just radical self-expression and acceptance and stuff like that. So everyone's just wearing whatever the hell they want.
Yep.
And they usually make it pretty crazy.
Quote unquote, like hippie vibes, kind of like.
Yeah, I don't even think it's hippie vibes. It's very artsy.
Yeah.
Like you go and like people just make things themselves. Like it's they just want to express themselves. Like I went to
that's pretty cool, man.
Like a rave that was in an inflatable ladybird at 3:00 in the morning. And I'd be walking back from this like ladybird and I'd go past a bunch of like 60-year-old bogan dudes singing death metal to a bunch of people that look like vampires at 4:00 in the morning. You can like, is that really happening? It's like
just people being who they want to be.
Yeah, but it's awesome. It's just like,
sick.
It's incredible. Like I can't wait to do it again. But yeah, so driving at this festival, see the skydiving club, think, all right, I want to try that. On the last night of the festival, as a conclusion, that local skydiving club did a jump onto the player of this festival. And we're all standing around having a drink. And actually, as it went down, one of the girls I was with said, could you imagine if something went wrong?
Oh, fuck.
And the other girl next to us goes, you don't say things like that. Like, what if? I swear almost immediately a skydiver
goddamn
dropped right in front of us, like 8 meters away. And ultimately ended up passing away.
Holy shit, man.
But the moment I saw him hit the ground, I was like, I'm never skydiving again. Yeah. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's like,
Holy shit, man. That's hectic. That is mental.
Yeah. It was crazy. It's like, oh, holy shit. Like, you sort of have this moment. It's like, wait, everyone's having a good time. Did that just happen?
Yeah. Like,
and just a shock to the system. I remember the first thing I thought, like, obviously I dealt with a lot of that stuff in my past life as a transit officer, a lot of like fatalities. You sort of, it's one of these hard parts of the job, but you sort of figure it's like, that's behind me. It's like, all right, I don't do that job anymore. Yeah. Like not something I have to deal with. And then to just like see it in the middle of having a good time. Yeah, just like, I just it's like, oh, I thought I was done with this.
Yeah. That is mental, man. Holy shit. Yeah.
But skydiving, done.
I honestly, like, I thought about it a couple of times, but like, even just knowing that what happened with Dean, I'm like, nah, I just don't want to tempt fate like that.
Yeah. We're getting older.
Yeah.
Start realizing we're not invincible anymore.
Yeah. don't bounce back quite as I used to. Only because that was a hectic story. You got any funny stories?
Funny stories? We're going to discuss date stories.
Oh, yes, that's correct. Yeah.
But you don't have any good ones. Like, I was like,
honestly,
I only
no.
have perfect dates.
No, I've never had. I don't think like. I don't. There's nothing in my brain where I immediately go, "That was a fucking memorable date." Like
You haven't lived.
yeah. No, because mine sound like really soppy fucking rom-coms. Like like Caitlin and my first date was like basically we were working together. Public holiday. Everyone was supposed to go to the beach afterwards for drinks, and because there was a meteor shower that night.
Yeah.
So everyone had arranged after public holiday finished, we'd grab some beers, we'd head down to the beach and watch this meteor shower. Sure enough, like it was hectic, so busy that everyone was too tired at the end of it. But Caitlin was still keen, so we ended up together going to the beach and watching this meteor shower, and that was essentially like our first quote unquote date. Like we got to know each other under shooting stars, mate. So yeah,
It's romantic.
Yeah, I know, and that's why her engagement ring is it's supposed to mirror the night sky. So one of the stones is moon shaped, and the rest of it is asymmetrical. So it looks like a trail of stars.
Yeah, right.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I mean. I can't recall comical, memorable dates, but that obviously it's.
Mine involve like racism and burnouts.
Please tell me. Like, now I'm intrigued.
Have I told you this before? I probably haven't.
Bro.
I remember meeting this girl, like literally I had some mates visiting from South Africa and they'd all gone to the Leaderville Hotel, which is where we used to hang out a lot back at the time. And I was working that night. So I've raced to the Leedy, I was like half an hour before close. We're all getting kicked out. Catch the eye of some girl on the way out, and we sort of stopped and had a little chat and a kiss. Got her number and organised a date for like the following week. And she wanted to play some pool, so we ended up in like a video game parlour in Carousel.
Does it sound fun? Does it sound lighthearted?
Well, it sounds like it should have been fun. Like, I thought, okay, she seems pretty like low key, kind of low maintenance. Like, let's go play some pool. Sweet as. Until she starts dropping like racist comments, like you don't like such and such races, do you? And I'm like,
goodness.
What the fuck? I was like, I don't have anything against other races. It's like, this is going bad. And this when I was younger, so I was like, I did not know when to. It could be said that I don't know when to check out. Regardless, like still,
colorblind like, to red flags.
I'm just like, yeah, like, nah, I don't have any issues in that regard. I should have just like done the bolt.
I need to go to the bathroom. So
it didn't go well. Like I knew. I was like, I'm never seeing this chick again. But I walked her to her car after the date, and this is Carousel Shopping Centre. It's really busy. We're upstairs. There's people everywhere. Walk to your car and I start walking away. And I hear someone starting to like do this massive burnout. And I thought, what kind of an idiot does a burnout in the middle of like a crowded shopping centre car park?
Yeah.
I want to talk about like a little skid.
Yeah.
Like it's a proper like vroom, 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 vroom. You know, like...
wheel spinning, like...
Yeah, like it's not my jam.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes.
And everybody stops and turns around. And I look back and it's her. And she's just skiing it up past me and like staring out the window at me as she does it. But she is so impressed with herself. I am fucking mortified that people might have seen me with her together. Like 2 minutes beforehand. And I got a message like a minute later. And she's like, that was for you, baby.
Oh,
like
no.
It was deliberately meant to impress me.
Vin Diesel.
And look, I'm going to be honest here. I ghosted the fuck out of her, hey.
No kidding.
she harassed me for 3 months. Like, she would just keep on messaging, like, and I probably should have just communicated better. I was young. I think I was like 18 or 19 years old. Funnily enough, early date with my future ex-wife. We rock up at this Mexican restaurant and she's the waitress serving, and it was just daggers. Hey?
She's like forever thinking like, maybe my burnout wasn't good enough.
She went on to like work on her burnouts. Like, she's devoted her life to doing better burnouts so she can find her forever partner.
She does 360s outside of it now, man.
I reckon that's one of my worst. Like, just, I don't know. She was super racist and just like, I just totally misjudged. It was a late night in a nightclub, totally based on appearances and probably some hormones bouncing around as a 19-year-old.
Yeah. I tell you, well, I've got a story. It's not a first date story, but it's pretty funny. And I reckon that will be a story that we end it on. So I used to work in a nightclub in the UK. And like a bunch of us there were good friends. So after we'd finished, if we got on early knockoff, we'd carry on drinking, go to other bars. So I think it's like a Monday, like, and one of the best gay bars I've ever been to is open Monday late until like 4 a.m. So we go there, all as work, like, because we close early on a Monday. All of us go out, get super, super blind drunk. I work in a nightclub. I'm irresponsible. I'm about 19 as well. Like, I don't have any money. So I'm like, does anyone want to share a taxi back to back into town where I live? And one of the girls who has never like shown any interest or had been any interest to me was like, yeah, we'll share taxi. So I'm like, yeah, wonderful. And get into the taxi, head home. And I'm like, oh, I'm here. And I'm like, oh, thanks again. Like, I'll see you at work. I walk out and I get to the front door and she had also gotten out and she's directly behind me. So I'm like, well, we're already here, you know, like, so we sleep together. And then next week, all the guys from work are all getting together, all having a couple of drinks at one of the houses. And I was like, buddy, you never guess what? Like, when I went home from the bar the other day, so-and-so was just behind me at my front door and then obviously came in and we slept together. And another buddy goes, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. He's like, on Friday, we went out and got really, really drunk and I thought we were sharing a cab home. And I got to my house and she'd also got out as well and we slept together.
It's just her MO.
And the third one of my buddies was like, fuck off. We're like, what? It's like Sunday night, we went out after work. We got to share the taxi home and she got out of the taxi. So this whole week, like, we're sat there like just absolutely howling. Like, no way, man. Like, just set your targets and go get them. You know what I mean?
What's the bet? She's talking to her girlfriend. She's like, I've got this new tactic. Any money.
It's called the share taxi ride. And it works 90% of the time.
70% of the time, it works all the time.
But nah, man, sitting around afterwards having a drink, we're like, we got worked. We got worked over. So
Girls got needs.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. And if you've got a method that works, keep doing it. Anyway, Matt, thanks for coming over, dude. We'll record again soon. Chizzy, thanks for being behind the camera. And yeah, we'll see you all next time.
Peace. See ya.